You know, whenever I'm out on a long training run or an ultra event, there's three things that keep me going: my music, my thoughts, and my sword endurance drink. That's right, sword endurance drink has everything your body needs to keep it going all day long. So head on over to drinksword.com and enter code HeartlandRunner at checkout for 20% off your purchase. All right, everybody, on to the show.
Welcome to the Heartland Running Podcast. Join Stephen and Andy as they explore the running community in the Ozarks and beyond.
All right, everybody, welcome to the show. I'm Stephen.
And I'm Andy.
And we are your hydrogen-infused host of the Heartland Running Podcast. Well, this has...
Nice.
Yeah, I like that one. This has...
I do.
We'll get into that later. Well, we have a special guest co-host on today, one I have been really looking forward to. He makes what are perhaps the coolest, hippest, funkiest, grooviest running shoes out there. Mr. Everett Carson from Carson Footwear. The story he has on his website was that he was looking for a minimal running shoe that he actually enjoyed running in. But what he found was that the industry had been pretty much abandoned by the American entrepreneur, and the rest of the shoe industry was more concerned with making a more profitable shoe than a better shoe. So with a dream, some designs, and investing a whole lot of his own money, he started Carson Footwear. Is that about right, Mr. Carson?
That's well said. That's exactly the way I recall it.
So let me ask you, why did you decide to make shoes in the United States? I'm sure everyone had to tell you that was a bad idea.
Yeah, right. It was, maybe not my best idea, but it's been a fun adventure. I mean, I tried to find a shoe that let me run naturally. Started with that Born to Run book. I mean, so much has come of that, but I thought that running barefoot was crazy. So I tried it. Took me a few miles. I picked up, hey, you are more efficient, you run different, you're a different posture, and it made sense. So then I went in search of a shoe that let you run that way. And the Vibram worked, but I wanted a little bit more protection. So after looking for shoes probably for a year, 2 years, I just bit the bullet and started searching for people who could help me put this together. And I'm still, it's a never-ending journey. Let's just say that.
Oh, I bet none. Before we get into the specifics of the shoes themselves, were there any major challenges actually setting up a U.S. manufacturer for shoes?
Well, yeah, it's like asking you to make beer, but you don't have anything here to make it. I mean, there's no infrastructure to support shoe manufacturing at all. Everybody in the U.S. designs it and sends it overseas to be manufactured. And that in itself causes really a lot of the dysfunction, if you will, that we get in the shoes. So, for instance, I can't buy one model of shoe. Like right now, I could go to the store and buy a size 11 Ultra. And then next year, or even 6 months down the road, try and go buy the same shoe, and you cannot buy it. Or if you find something that's close, doesn't fit the same. And a lot of that is just due to, the companies not owning their own factory. Or at least, air quotes, that's what I believe. That could be completely wrong.
Wow. Now, I know a friend of the show had told us about your shoes. So both Andy and I received a set. I have the beautiful Iguana Racers. And something I want to tell you about the design of these. I ran a marathon just a couple weeks ago in them, and I also was wearing a kilt. And I figured everyone was going to ask about the kilt. Nope. Everyone wanted to know about the shoes.
Awesome.
Is there a story behind because the iguanas were the original design, correct?
Right. All of the designs have a story behind them, which design-wise, I'm kind of, thinking that that's the path I want to go down. Is I don't want to just bang out designs for the sake of adding more colors and stuff like that. But yeah, the iguana, I got my hands on a dye-sub printer, and I sat down one morning. I usually worked on the shoes on the weekends, and sat down and I was trying to find something that I could print and, that would adapt to a shoe. And Rodrigo de Gabriela, have you heard of those guys?
I've heard the name.
They're a brother-sister combo. They do this great Spanish acoustic music. It came on Pandora, whatever. I looked over at my computer and saw the head of an alligator. And I thought, oh, hey, that might work. So I started going down that path, and I ended up finding some iguanas that were really colorful. So I started messing around with those, threw it on the shoe, went to the shop, printed it, and then, brought it out to the, seamstresses that were helping me stitch them together at that time. And they looked at it and they go, this is really cool. There's nobody thinking anything like that. And you could kind of feel that it was neat and way outside the box, super fun. So that was, really Rodrigo de Gabriela are the people who inspired that one. And it took, quite a few rounds of working through it. And the one that's on the shoe right now is we have the actual iguana. It's not an iguana, by the way. This is a secret. It's actually a day gecko. We call him Iggy, and he is in our shop. And so he is our actual mascot. If you come visit our shop, you'll see him.
All right, Everett, this is Andy here. I did not get the iguana racer, but I did get the Stars and Stripes. I really liked that. That's a really, really cool shoe. So I got a couple questions here. But starting out with, did a little experiment today that I actually wore these to church. So, rather than my nice clothes, I actually wore my race clothes, which a little background, my running group is actually based out of our church. And so we get together at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning. We go out and we all run. And then every once in a while after my long runs, I will actually come to church just, smelling like a dumpster and, post run. And sit in the back. But I had so many people comment on these shoes, all the way from runners to non-runners. They said, what in the world are those shoes? And a lot of them, are my running companions, and they pay a lot of attention to what I'm wearing. I'm one of the faster runners in the group, and I was having some conversation with Stephen before we started this podcast. To my microcosm, my world of friends, that, I'm kind of the Meb Keflezighi of the group, where I'm one of the faster people. Now I take one toe outside of that group and I'm not much of anything at all. But, people pay attention to what I have on my feet. And, usually I'm wearing Ultras, or I've got some Hokas, and I rotate between, a variety of different types of shoes. But they look at these and they're like, what in the world is that? And they're very interested in that, because they're not anything like any other type of shoe that's out there, and they want to know about it, and they're interested. And even people who are not runners, they want to know what these are. And so, I wanted to let you know that, people are really interested in these shoes because they are so different and so interesting. And that kind of leads me into the next question that I have, that, you being an entrepreneur, starting up this business, just, from the ground up in an atmosphere where shoes are not produced in the United States. I myself, I'm a business owner, and I create products, and I have some sort of small infrastructure that's out there of suppliers that can get me going, get me started, and have supplies for me. And I'm really interested to hear what it took to get your company off the ground, because there's not a lot of people out there. I guess the term for it is cobblers, or people who make shoes and manufacture them. And what was that process to go from your concept of, I want to make this shoe, to getting people hired, getting people trained, and getting people to manufacturing these shoes so that way you can get them out to the public? I'd really like to hear about that.
Yeah, like I said, it's a never-ending journey. So we're constantly looking. But, really, I have a strong belief in, I'm more of an operations guy than sales. So I have always operated or done every job that I have. So I own several businesses, and I can do every function in those businesses. So
yeah, welcome to a small business. I understand.
Well, I mean, so, some of them are not so small. I mean, I do everything from running presses to data work to laser work to pre-press to, bindery. So when I went into this, I knew with that same kind of precedence, if you will, that I needed to understand every bit of manufacturing this product. So I, in my garage, did a lot of the 3D modeling of the soles, not the sole we ended up with, but enough to be where you can, speak intelligently about the process you were asking somebody to do for you. And unless you really get in and try and do it, you don't speak at the level I think you need to really pull it off. So, I got in and ditched the first tears. I mean, I still enjoy that part of the craftsmanship of it all and, built the first shoes and, really that is key, in my opinion, to, pulling this thing off. You have to be able to speak to everybody who's trying to do it and understand their battle. A lot of this stuff you can't sit and do all day. So you need to, unless you get in there and try it, you just don't understand that. So we have people rotate. They do, 3 or 4 different things throughout the day. So it's not, painful. And we pay them a fair wage. $1.25 an hour like they pay overseas, is high end, then I could sell a cheaper shoe, but that's not the case. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. But finding qualified people to put these shoes together, is that a challenge for you?
It is. It is. And so there's some people with similar skills, and then we bring them in and train them to do the certain tasks. We've gotten lucky and had a couple people that had great backgrounds. One, Kerry Wilson, who is the main cobbler. She worked at U.S.A making boots. So for her to come in and make running shoes was like a no-brainer for her. And then another guy we have worked for UGG. He knew how to put the throwables on, or the inner sole, which is a trick. That is one of the toughest parts about putting the shoe together. And, he replied to a ad and said, you could do this, and handed him a pair of shoes, and he did it and made it look easy. And it was like, hey, you're hired. Come on.
Now, you decided to go with a polyurethane sole versus the traditional EVA, which, to be honest, I am loving it. Can you explain why you went this way? In fact, we've had another guest that works for, I don't know if we'd say a major shoe company, but one of the bigger shoe companies, and he kind of hinted that a lot of the other companies are going to start going that way.
Well, yes. The main reason is because without super high-end manufacturing equipment, you can't make it here in the States. You can't make EVA in the States. When you release the molds, the op gases are against the law. So now there's equipment that you can use that you could do it, but it wouldn't be cost effective for footwear at all. But overseas, you can put these plastic pellets in any mold, heat it up to 129 degrees, and release it, and the gas is all into the atmosphere, and they're happy about that all day long.
That's not good.
It's not good. So one of the main reasons was because it was all I could produce or use and manufacture here. And then once I started looking at it, there's a longer story to that whole polyurethane thing, but it's really a better product. It's a superior product. A guy invented a blowing agent in Washington. BASF bought that technology from him. Adidas used that for their bounce, and the rest is history. But basically, I use pretty close to that same mixture. And I was actually going to buy my chemicals from this guy, Hydroseal, before he was purchased. So it was kind of what led me to the product, actually.
Well, no, I have really been enjoying it, because when people ask about it, the best way I describe it is, like if you have an EVA shoe, it kind of absorbs the impact, where the polyurethane, to me, kind of spreads the impact out. So you still have all the ground feel, but yet you're getting a little bit of cushioning because it's distributing amongst the whole sole of the shoe. And I'm a huge fan now.
Right. Absolutely. That's, it's fun to give people a shoe and not tell them anything. And just give the shoe, go for a run, see what you think. And usually, they'll come back and say, I think you got something here. I don't know what it is, but it's a different ride. And I'm like, yeah, that's polyurethane. And then when they start to understand the technology, the cell structure, whatever, I kind of tell them they understand, hey, this is the difference between the ride of a Hyundai and the ride of a Cadillac. Mm-hmm. It's just better technology.
It seems like it's a lot tougher material, and it looks like that it's going to last longer than your standard EVA that's on a shoe, because, Steve and I, we've had this conversation before about Hokas, that it's that real squishy material, which, it's nice that you're running on clouds, but still in the same sense, you get 300 miles out of that pair of shoe and then they're just about done for. And I put quite a few miles in mine and they just look like they're brand new. And so it looks like it's a lot tougher material.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I kind of tried to balance abrasion resistance with the cushion. Part of it has to do with, some of the Oregon is a pretty rainy place, and a little bit of humidity in the air during the process helps give it a little bit different characteristic, which a little bit of luck there. But, we can add things to make it, I could make it bulletproof where it would last for 10,000 miles, but it would be, harder. So this is our first shot at it, and it's always constantly evolving. So I'm really excited to what we're going to do coming up with some of the new additives and stuff. I think that I'm going to be able to make it a little bit softer, still get the ground feel, and still get, maybe 2,000 to 3,000 miles out of a pair of shoes.
Well, if you haven't nailed it right here, you're just pretty darn close. And it sounds like there's a lot of chemistry that's involved with putting the soles of these shoes together. Do you have some sort of specific background that really helped you with this?
No, actually, when I just started looking, to find a product I could use, and I stumbled across the HydroSeal guy. So I was looking at silicone rubber, and he led me to BASF. And then BASF came with me. I bought the equipment. They came in, and they started throwing so much additive to it. I really dumbed it down and said, look, I wasn't happy with it. So I took it back down to their core product with just 2 main additives, one really for the abrasion resistance, and then just, a softer catalyst. And got kind of lucky. I just kept working with it. They want me to, here's this, try this, try this, try that. There's some new stuff coming out that'll make it a little bit lighter that we will try. But myself personally, I don't think giving up, a little bit of weight for the ground response and protection is worth it. I mean, I'm carrying around an extra 10 or 15 pounds, an ounce on my tennis shoes isn't going to matter at all.
I think I have right around 300 miles on mine, with about half of those miles being on the road, the other half on trails. And like Andy, they still look brand new as far as the tread goes. And that upper, man, is that upper sweet. That is just like putting a slipper on your feet. I think even in an email, and I sent you, and I was being serious, I'm like, I have to buy another pair because I want a set just for casual wear.
Yeah, well, thank you.
They are definitely great. Now, what got you in? I know you said you read Born to Run, which is all about minimal shoes and natural shoe running. In fact, we just had, I don't know if you know him, Dr. McClanahan from the Northwest Foot and Ankle Clinic on. And
is he the one who did the correct toe?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. I don't know him personally, but we've had some back and forth, and I actually recommended his product to some friends that have used it, and they swear by it. So
we just had him on, and I think he has well, I know he sold me, and I'm thinking he's almost got Andy sold on
I'm good
on sticking to a wide toe box, very minimal shoe. So I see lots more Carsons in my near future.
Excellent. Thank you.
You can't beat the designs. I mean, if we were talking with Dr. McClanahan that fashion shouldn't matter, but they're just too cool.
Of course, fashion should matter. I mean, if that didn't matter, we'd all just wear overalls, T-shirts. I hope you're not wearing that. today.
Well, we are from the
I
Ozarks.
That's right. Oh, wrong crowd.
That's our church clothes we talk about. Now, since these are minimal shoes, and so many runners have been in what we'll just call, even though you would think a minimal should be called a more traditional shoe, but when we say traditional, we were talking about the big brands. What is the best way to transition? Because I ran a lot of miles in the Carsons, and then I decided I was going to do a road marathon in them. And before that, I had always rotated different shoe stack heights and all that, thinking that was the way to go. And I'll admit, my calves were a little achy after the run. And I know that's from, doing zero drop and minimal shoes, and they don't bother. I did, 16 or 17 today and no issues now. But what is the best way to transition into these shoes?
Well, I'm no doctor, but I've had doctors run in them and give me their 2 cents. And it could take anywhere from a year to 6 or 7 years to transition to where you could run a marathon in them. Just depends on, the severity or, your build. So, I swear by at least running a couple miles barefoot a week. So on days I do weight, I'll run, a mile or 2 on the treadmill barefoot. And that helps loosen everything up. Now, I've been running them for a solid 5 years, I believe, maybe a little bit longer. And this has got to be like one of my biggest things right now is that I haven't been injured since I've been running in them.
Right.
And, you can't go out and tell people, hey, these will help prevent injuries. But I can sure say that since I've been running in them, I haven't been injured.
I hear that from just about everybody that's gone to minimal footwear that's transitioned correctly, that they don't get any injuries anymore. So I think that was the problem back during the minimal movement a few years ago. Everyone went and bought them and tried to go run, ultra marathons in them without transitioning.
Yeah, and we have changed our tone on our site and, social media to try and, make people aware that, there is some transition and they're not for everybody. That is the reason the big brands put 4 mil lift. I think is probably about as minimal as they go, but that 80% of the shoes have about a 4 mil lift, I think is the number I saw somewhere. But that is because most people are not set up to run this way.
Mm-hmm.
So they've found that to be true. But I believe when you get into this neutral running style, you'll run better, longer. And that's all there is to it.
And that's what's important.
I think that's an interesting point that you make, that most people aren't set up to start running in a zero drop shoe or natural style shoe, because we've spent our whole lives in a shoe that has either had, some sort of drop to it or a heel. You take work boots, you take women's shoes, and then all of a sudden, you're in your 30s and you decide, well, I'm going to start running. Well, you've spent your whole life that you've had that drop. You've shortened your Achilles tendon. You've lessened your flexibility that you have, all the way from your lower tendons to your calf, to your hamstrings. And then all of a sudden you're starting to injure yourself. And the reason why is you're trying to do something that requires a flexibility of a natural foot motion that you haven't given yourself for, however many years. So, that's a really interesting thing that you'd said that caught my attention. And that's why it does take a little bit of time to transition into some of these shoes that extend your tendons, that get you into a more natural foot motion.
Yeah, it's cool to hear people, their stories now that are, after doing this for a few years, they've transitioned and are realizing that, hey, you know what, my back isn't sore anymore. When I started running in these shoes, I was feeling my hips a lot and feeling my knees. I was rolling my ankles, and I don't have perfect posture by any means now, but my hips, they don't bother me after longer runs. Certainly my knees are a little bit tougher, but hey, I'm getting a little bit older, so who knows? I better knock on wood as I sit here and say I haven't been injured and I feel better.
That is true. Now, with the sizing of these shoes, I actually had someone on our Facebook group actually ask, and I know when I ordered some, they're not quite sized like you would see in traditional shoe stores, are they?
Right. The sizing was I had several pet peeves about the shoe business, and one of them was sizing. So when I went in to buy a size 11, I expected I should be able to buy a size 11 in the next brand. And that isn't the case. Everybody knows that. So if it doesn't mean anything, then why use it? I just started identifying my last that the shoes are made around. So, and I just serial number. I put the year and then whatever unique ID it is in the database that I approved the last. So the first last, 1315, 2013 was the 15 last I looked at, and that's the one we went to production with first. So we made our first molds around a 1315. I got it. Me and a few other people around in those shoes and said, you know what, this is fine. Let's just roll this out and make a size run. So by then it was 14. So that's where all the 14 numbers come from. So 14, 17, 14, 18, 14, 19, 14, 25, 14, 26. They're whatever size we throw in there or whatever the unique number. So the idea is to give you the exact lap that the shoe was made around. So if 1315 fits you and we make a shoe and call it a 1315, you should know how it's going to fit every time exactly from now until whenever. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So, and they are unisex shoes, so you don't make a separate men and women's line.
That's correct. We are adding half sizes, and we are going to make lower volume size run as well.
But for now, if someone is looking to order, and like, let's say myself, I in a running shoe, I traditionally wear a 10.5 on most brands. So like I just went up to what you called, I think your men's 11, and I don't know what the women's size was. And that was fine. So should people generally just go up to the next size?
Yeah. Yeah. If you're 10.5, go to 11. They're actually, so the whole size run was made off of my 1315. And it's like between a 10 3/4 and 11. So it would be a small 11.
Okay.
So every size is, a little bit small.
Okay. Yeah. And they fit perfect. So is there anything, I know you said you're having some new materials you're looking at. Is there anything new coming down the line soon that you can give us the inside information on?
Well, sure. We have a few things we're working on. One, over the last couple of years, people have really been running in them. We've got requests for, one is kids shoes. So we've dropped a couple sizes. We go down to like a women's 4, I think it is. So a couple kid sizes. Then we are also almost ready to release a new sole, which will have a little bit more aggressive tread, hoping to pour some of the first models here within the next month. I was hoping actually to start pouring next week, but you know how everything goes. And shoes takes a little bit longer, but we should have another tread pattern that's a little bit more aggressive. It'll be, the current base is 10 millimeter thick, 0 drop. And the new one will be, we're going to add 2 mil to the lugs. It'll be a different, more aggressive lug pattern, but it'll also give you another 2 mil of tread.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, talking about the tread pattern on the bottom of the shoes, I noticed that it mimics the Carson brand kind of logo. Is there any sort of meaning behind that logo? The 3 legs, almost the triad of legs. Is there any meaning behind that?
Well, I mean, a long story short, it is inspired by the Isle of Man coat of arms, which is where we have some Carson lineage, goes back to the Isle of Man. So it's always been around. It's like my uncle's house, the door handle has it, and the knocker has it, and there's, it's everywhere. It's in the bathroom, So,
All right. Well, that's very cool. And the reason why that I brought that up, that Stephen had mentioned earlier about running in a kilt, I also ran in a kilt too. And I thought that it was very interesting, the history behind the tartan colors. And so I did a little bit of research in my family history. And whenever I bought my kilt that I was going to use for a race not too long ago, that I wanted to make sure it was accurate to my family colors that was back into Scotland. And I did notice that, the Isle of Man had that symbol there, which I'm part of the McLeods, and that tartan color. And then whenever we ended up in England, dropped the Mick and changed it to Cloud. And so, then came to the United States back in the era of William Penn, that, we were just the Clouds from there on out. But I'd noticed that researching my family history, and that was very interesting to me. And so I'm glad that's kind of a similar history there.
yeah, interesting.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, I mean, we did a limited edition plaid shoes a couple of winters ago. That was fun, looking up all the different plans and that stuff.
So how many shoes would we have to buy to get some custom made Heartland running shoes?
Just a couple. We're pretty. I mean, we make every shoe. It gets ordered, and we pull the orders down, and then we'll make usually 2 or 3 of what any given order is. So we can do custom shoes all day long.
Wow,
it's really no different.
Andy, you got some money saved up?
I don't know. Maybe we can do a pre-order of about 25. I think we could pull that off.
Dang right.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have to do that. Just, we can work through it. We did a custom shoe for the Ultra Running Company in North Carolina, and they're out there, so it's fun. I mean, if you have, I want the graphics to be, kind of fun and have some meaning, and that has to work on the shoe. We have to feel good about it because we are going to put our name on it,
right?
And yours, depending. The North Carolina had a great artist put it together. We've tried to work on a couple other ones, and we're still bouncing ideas around. So I am a little bit, picky when we get there. Hey, let's try it.
Well, we might.
I'm excited. We're doing this.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Send me some artwork.
All right. Now, speaking of that, you have some athletes, and I believe one of them just kind of dominated in a 100-miler.
Oh, that's right. It is Bren Tompkins. Yay, Bren! Nice job. He just won. What was it? Let me see. I have to look at Facebook. But it was a 100-miler, and what's great about it is getting an update, last night, like really early in the morning. And it was like, I see this message come across, and I'm like, Brent Tompkins just got inspected, and he had no blisters or anything. And I think they noted he had won or something. It was
wow.
The Fort Clinch 100. Have you heard of that run? Fort Clinch?
No, I haven't heard of that one. We'll definitely have to look that up, though.
Anyway, Brent Tompkins did a great job. It was great to wake up this morning and go, I think I got a text last night or update on Brent. And I looked around my phone. It's like, holy crap, this guy won.
Well, that is certainly good. Well, I will be wearing mine on a 50-miler next month. I'm not going to win. I'm just telling you right now.
Well, we are doing a 100, and if you podium in our shoes, last year we did a $250 deal. This year I want to reach more people. We're going to do a $150 store credit. So if you hit the podium in Carson, we'll send you a gift certificate good for $150 in our store, online or in person. Bren is the first one to get one of those. But if you hit the podium, let me know. I
might have to train harder. And that might mean less pizza, and I don't know.
Right.
Pizza, $150.
I'm tapering right now for a 5K next weekend.
Okay. And I think that's one thing about the shoes on the website. It kind of says, you develop these for the trail. and they really do come alive when you get on the dirt, but they are absolutely fine for the road. Like I said, I think at least half the miles I put on mine are on pavement.
Right.
They do absolutely fine.
Yeah, I think they're fine on the road. One of our early testers just had a weird gait, and man, I mean, I should have got more testers because I went crazy trying to get the abrasion resistance correct for him. And, you know, I was like, Bill, I have 800 miles on my shoes and they look fine. And you have 100 and there's no tread on the left shoe. What's going on?
Well, I guess everyone's a little bit different.
Right. So if your gait is okay and you're a quiet runner, which the trail will make you, then yeah, they'll be fine. I wouldn't be surprised to see people busting 1,000, 1,500 miles easy.
Oh, I don't see any reason mine won't go 1,000.
Yeah. I mean, I just get tired of looking at the same old shoes. The pair I run in is getting pretty ragged, but I still run in it, and I'm trying to see when it'll completely disintegrate. But
you're like, come on already.
I know.
I want new shoes.
Right. Yeah, you would think I would run in a brand new pair every day, but I don't.
No. Now, what is I'm jumping here a little bit, but what is the upper made out of? Because, man, is that a sweet upper.
It is a tech fabric from a U.S. company, Tech, and I really stumbled across it looking for trying to get a Berry compliant product. So I want all of my raw materials and everything to have be sourced in the U.S. if I can. And they had another product, and then I just happened to see, hey, they had a mesh as well. And a lot of the, looking for sourcing materials, you find stuff that, you tell them you're going to make shoes, and they're like, why would you make shoes out of this stuff? You can get that stuff in China a lot cheaper. Yeah, it's just a U.S. made mesh.
Oh, but boy, it just feels like a slipper when you put it on your foot.
It works great, for sure.
Yeah. Have you thought about making slippers?
Right. They're kind of like a trail slipper. I mean, that was one thing, I noticed that first off is like, hey, when you start running these things, they kind of disappear.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they do. I run almost exclusively in mine now. Not quite, but almost. I'd say 9 out of 10 runs are in my Carsons.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. And for those listening, when you go to the website, you're going to see the price on them, and they're about the same as you would pay for I'm going to do the air quote again, traditional shoe that's going to last you 300 miles and is not good for your feet either. So kudos to you for building a U.S. product with U.S. materials and keeping the price held within, what your competition is.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That definitely had to take some work.
Yeah, it's tough. Definitely tough. There's not a ton of margin in it, but if we get the volumes up, we can hopefully maintain the price. And one thing too, this is, if you think about it, this is our box car, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our soapbox. This is our first shoe, and trying to figure this whole thing out. So I'm super excited, after having a couple years under our belt, what we can do, and I think it's going to be fun. So hopefully we can continue to build, a little bit of traction, no pun intended, in the industry, and get the word out there that there's, an option.
Well, we will definitely do our part to spread the good news. if that's the way.
And seriously, I'm excited about the Heartland Running Podcast exclusive Carson shoe. I think that we can get some pre-orders for that.
I know you are, Andy.
Right.
We'll make that happen, definitely.
What kind of graphics do you have? Send me some to look at.
I can send you our logo and see if there's any way to work off of that.
Sure.
We can definitely do that. Now, before we start wrapping things up, I wanted to bring something up, and I want to get your opinion on this too, Mr. Carson. I was on Facebook last night. I got home late, and you get those ads that pop up. And at the beginning of this show, how I opened the show, I saw an ad for hydrogen infused water. Now, I'm not a chemist, but is that not like nitrogen infused air?
Right.
I mean, I'm just, it's my little soapbox. I'm getting tired of all this ridiculous stuff being advertised. Who in their right mind would buy hydrogen infused water? Andy, do you buy that stuff?
No. I think I would pass on the advertising there.
That just made me so angry.
I just ordered some right now.
You just ordered some? Well, it got
you know how it goes.
It got even better. So just, curiosity killed the cat. So I went to the website, and in big text they have, it's GMO free, no calories. What was the other thing? Gluten free.
You see, I'm less concerned about all that stuff than the dihydrogen monoxide that's being put in all of the bottled water out there. That's my big concern.
And it's farther than that. That stuff is in all the oceans and lakes as well.
So we're killing ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah, our in-studio audience here, hashtag my wife Nicole, thinks it's great. She's ordering some right now too.
Oh, I forgot the most
white or black. So that's great.
Yes, and they did say it is kosher.
Oh, I didn't see that.
So for our Jewish audience, this hydrogen infused water is acceptable to drink.
Hey, but here's you need to make sure you drink it right, and it should be you should get it from the Vesta dispenser.
The Vesta dispenser. Well, Mr. Carson, we want to thank you for giving us some of your valuable time. Like I said, I think, I've been teasing your interview for a couple weeks now, and it's been one of the more exciting ones people have been waiting for to hear about your shoes. So hopefully some good things come out of that. Now, your website is carsonfootwear.com.
That's correct.
Okay, we will link to that in our show notes, and social media. They can find you on Facebook, Instagram.
Yes, we're out there. I'm constantly staring at my phone, saying, liking things and replying. And so, yeah, if you send us an email or have a question, it's quite likely I'll be responding.
Okay.
Although we do have a team. They always give me the opportunity to respond first, which I like. I like being involved. I'm definitely a hands-on kind of guy.
Well, that definitely says something about the company when the founder and owner wants to be involved in talking to the customers. That's always a good thing.
Yep, absolutely.
But we will put links in the show notes to your Instagram and Facebook. I believe Instagram is Carson Footwear, and probably the same on Facebook. I'm taking it.
Yep. Tag us, and we'll definitely kick this thing around a few times and help spread the good word.
All right, that sounds good. And we would like to encourage everyone to join our Facebook social group. You can search for Heartland Running. You're going to see the business page, but just don't worry about that one. Go to the social page. That's where we have all the fun. I'm going to post all the pictures of where Andy's video froze on me tonight. He always makes a goofy face whenever that happens. Our website is heartlandrunning.com. You can go right there to listen to the show if you're not subscribed. In fact, the current show will be the first thing that pulls up when you get there, and you can just push play. As well, we are on Instagram at Heartland Running Podcast. And if you'd like to send us a voicemail that will play on the air, the number is area code 417-319-1060. I believe it gives you 2 minutes to leave your message. So leave us a message. We'll get that on the air. But before we go, we want to thank you one more time for agreeing to come on our show, Mr. Carson. It was an honor and a pleasure to speak to you.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, thank you guys. Like you have one more liker just now.
All right, great. Hey, we're moving up in the world. But until next time, we want to thank you for sticking us in your ears. And I'm Steven.
And I'm Andy.
And we'll talk to you soon.